What is going on, guys? My name is 4G. So today I wanted to go over everything that we currently know when it comes to Fortnite's upcoming OG mode. Now, I guess this is upcoming because it's coming December 6th, so that's the first thing we need to know. The release date, which is December 6th, is going to be coming out this Friday, which is awesome to see. Gives us some time to try out and play Chapter 6 for a while and actually learn the new map and all that. Then we can hop in the OG map in just a couple of days. But there's a lot of stuff we know about it now, and I wanted to wait until we got to this point where we actually have all the stuff in the files so that, you know, there's a lot of leaks and stuff like that. So we got to the point where everything is in the files already. So let's just jump into the first thing, the OG pass. This is the skin right here. I'm making a whole video right now going over this whole battle pass thing, so I'm not going to get into it right now, but this is the OG pass. Let's just get this out of the way. So it's a bunch of reskins. So a reskin of Aerial Assault Trooper, Renegade Raider, and Skull Trooper. Not a bad battle pass for sure. It costs 1,000 V-Bucks, and you will not be able to get any V-Buck back. So if you are intending to buy this and the main battle pass, it's a good idea. Well, unless you're using V-Bucks from Save the World or something, but it would probably be a good idea to get it with the Fortnite crew, which is $11.99, I believe. So it is actually pretty cheap if you get that, because then of course you get the battle pass, music pass, Fortnite festival pass, Lego, but you get all the passes pretty much all in one thing for $12, which is a lot better than buying each of them for individually for 1,000 V-Bucks each. But regardless, moving on to actual gameplay stuff, the OG windscreen will actually be back, which is pretty interesting to me. I'm glad it is back for this, although I've always thought that the newer one that they added later on in Chapter 1 is obviously much better, but this one is definitely nostalgic, because if you had a victory royale back in the day, especially around this time where everyone was really bad at the game and it was very hard to get a win, seeing this specific screen was absolutely amazing to see. And now it's pretty nostalgic to look at. Real quick, if you are enjoying this video and you do want to support the channel, you could definitely use code YouTubeIt'sForgy in the Fortnite item shop. I do get a small portion of that sale, and I would greatly appreciate it. All right, now the HUD does not appear to be returning, so it'll still be the same HUD from what I can tell based off of all the different leaks and stuff like that. We will not be seeing the OG HUD, which in my opinion, I think is completely fine. But at the same time, I do think it would be nice if they went the extra mile, because they've gone the extra mile with double pump. I feel like the fact that we have double pump is huge. So to have a HUD being changed back to how it was, I don't think is the biggest deal ever, but it doesn't seem like they're going to be doing that. So that's just unfortunately how it is. Now, something we don't know, and I'm wondering right now, let me just add this in here. I'm wondering if the shield potions are going to go back to how they were instead of how they are in Chapter 5 and onward, where if you drink halfway through a big pot, it's just gone if you cancel it. I really dislike that. I'm sure that'll still be like that. I'm sure it is. It's just how it is in the game nowadays. I don't think they're going to change every little thing like that, but it is good to know that there is a lot of different things they have changed and will be showing up, like the OG pump model. It will be that. It will not be the Chapter 2 one that we've had ever since Chapter 2. We've not seen this OG pump model since Chapter 1, and it's a shame, because in my opinion, this is way better. But it's making an amazing return this Friday, and I'm very much looking forward to being able to use this in combination with double pump. And speaking of the pump, yes, it will do 200 damage yet again. You don't need to have a legendary pump. It will be back to how it was back in the day. The gray pump should be one pumping, because it appears to do a max of 225 damage. The green one doing a max of 238. These are all headshot, of course, but it is still amazing to see this, because we have not seen pumps this strong since this original season. The OG burst rifle will finally return, and it will actually have its OG stat. This is a weapon that we absolutely slept on, man. We slept on this weapon. This was not a bad weapon whatsoever, especially the blue one. The blue one would absolutely destroy, and I'm gonna be using it yet again. And ever since they changed it to this model, the FAMAS looking one, I just don't like the look of this, to be honest with you. It just never felt right. It just never felt right. The only other burst in the game that I've actually liked is, of course, the AUG, as I call it, because that's what it's actually called. But this one that they've had in Chapter 2, of course, this one is amazing. It's very strong. But other than that, it just hasn't been the same since this OG blue burst. These are all the stats for the SMGs. I don't remember if this is completely how it was. I would guess it is. If they're making the pumps go back to how they were, then I think that these would be about the same as well. But moving on to the other weapons, the Scar here is actually not how it was back in Chapter 1, Season 1, but I think that's okay, because I don't think we need a Scar that does 90 damage to the head, because that was crazy. That was pretty mind-blowing, literally. But I can say it is way better than it is now. In Chapter 4, Chapter 5, they nerfed this, I don't exactly know when, but they nerfed the Scar, and it only did like 52 damage, 54 damage, something horrible. But it's back to how it was for the majority of Chapter 1, which is exactly how I wanted to see it. It will do 72 damage for a headshot for the gold Scar, and 70 for a purple one. So exactly how it was back in the day. This is looking real nice. And speaking of the Scar, the OG Scar sound is back. Now, the only bad thing about this is it's still using the Chapter 2 one. I don't know why. Did they just run out of time, or are they going to just go halfway by bringing back the OG models for all the other weapons, but the Scar is different? I don't exactly know why. Is it because they think it's a better model? I would disagree personally, and I think that the one they had from Save the World, which is where the original Scar came from, just looks a lot better in my opinion. I think they need to bring it back. The current Chapter 2 one just looks too big. I don't know how to explain it. I mean, I just find it weird if they're going to go the whole way to change the damage values back to how it was, or at least very close to how it was, while also changing the OG Scar sound. Like, that's a big one right there. Like, that's a very minor detail. But then to not change the weapon model is kind of weird, but whatever. The graphics of this is what it's going to look like. It looks very, very similar. It's not looking exactly the same as Chapter 1 Season 1, of course, because that was on a much older engine, and everything in that graphically was just inferior to what they do now. Art style wise, though, it looks pretty much the same. It's just the graphical part of it is, of course, toned down, so it's just not going to look exactly the same, and I feel like that was a given, to be completely honest. I mean, it's going to look pretty much like what Season OG did, except Season OG was supposed to look like Chapter 1 Season 5 and onward, which did look a little bit different than the very first season, but still. Moving on, for build modes, this will be the mat count yet again, so we're not going to have 500 as the mat count anymore, at least for this OG mode. And while I like the 500 cap because you can harvest much faster, so it balances out to be a lot better in my opinion, for regular modes, I think for this mode it is necessary because, of course, you want to have any sky-based strats or anything of the sort. You know, you want to do any of these OG things, good luck without having a lot of mats. You need a lot of materials to do that, and it just wouldn't feel the same without having this limit of materials. Now, the last thing here, this is a very important thing, so I have to wait until the end, and that is movement. We don't know 100% just yet how the movement is going to be, but what it looks like from the sounds of it is it's going to be very similar to Chapter 5 movement, but it will not have any of the extra stuff that they added with Chapter 6. They're not going to have any of that new movement. There's no wall jumping, wall running, any of that stuff. There's none of that, which is good. Originally, they did say that it was going to be in the OG mode in their blog post, but that was a mistake, and they actually went back and they changed it and said that they made a mistake when they included OG in that paragraph. That was not supposed to be there. So we don't know if it's going to be actual OG movement or if it's going to just be there's no mantling, no sprinting, none of that stuff. I don't exactly know. I don't think that they would just completely get rid of sprinting and mantling. I think what it would be is all the Chapter 6 stuff won't be in there. It'll just be Chapter 5 movement, everything we had from that, which I really hope not, man. I really hope that it's exactly like Chapter 4. That was perfect. That was perfect movement. So while editing this, they will still have the movement mechanics from Chapter 3 or Chapter 4, because of course there is going to be zero build, so there will be mantling, sprinting, sliding. There just will not be any of the new Chapter 6 stuff that they just added. But based off of what I'm seeing here, this doesn't look like Chapter 4 movement, in my opinion. This doesn't look like that OG movement. Maybe it's an improved version of it. I don't know. I don't remember seeing this look in Chapter 6. In Chapter 6, this running animation. It looks like a refined version of it, maybe. I don't exactly know, unless it is in the game and I'm just completely crazy. I don't exactly know. But either way, I do hope when it comes to the movement, it's a much bigger deal than some people make it out to be. There's a lot of people who say that they don't care. That's fantastic. I'm glad you don't care. But for the people who do care, it really matters to us, okay? It really does. It changes up how the game feels and how the game plays. The whole time you're playing the game, you're controlling this character, and the movement matters. It really does. But anyways, Season OG, or I keep calling it Season OG, the OG mode going back to Chapter 1 Season 1 is going to be fantastic. One more thing I wanted to include in this is, will we get these right here? These are OG traps. These were removed after Season 1, from what I remember. We never had them in Season 2 and onward, and these were some very weird traps. Of course, these were Save the World traps, and that's why they just didn't really fit into Battle Royale. Although, I do think the directional pad was pretty fun. I would love to see that again. Man, I really hope if they're going to bring any of them back, bring back the directional pad. Again, it's still in Save the World, and it's so fun to place a directional pad, just be able to fly forward. And if it was in Season 1, put it in the game, please, Epic Games. I would love to play with this in Battle Royale again, and I don't think we'll ever get a chance to play with it, to play using this ever again, if not during this specific version of the OG mode where we're in Season 1. I might make a full video going over that, actually, because there's a lot to go into that when it comes to the OG trap. Kind of interesting to me because there's a lot of stuff going on. But anyways, that is going to wrap up this video. If you guys enjoyed it, like would be greatly appreciated. If you're new here, like videos like this, make sure to hit that subscribe button down below. Now, thank you guys so much for watching. Have a great day.